Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today we have a guest. Maybe she can go ahead and tell us who she is, what she does, and what pronoun she uses.
Hi.
I think I've already said the pronoun.
Yes, you did. My name is Ava. I'm a trans activist and also a humanist. Let's leave it there.
You can say more, feel free.
Okay, so I work at Jinsiambu, Kenya. That's an organization that lobbies for intersex, trans, and non-binary rights in Kenya. I do also IT, among other things, which I consider a hobby.
Okay. And maybe you can say how you identify as or who you are, like as a person. You've told us what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I am a trans woman. I identify as trans female. If that's an identity or whatever. My pronouns are
Identity
she,
is a
her.
person, so
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
that's it. Okay. See, you've mentioned a word, trans woman.
Mhm.
Maybe you can tell us who's a trans woman, a trans person.
Okay, so a trans person is someone who is assigned a different gender or sex at birth, but they currently or in the future might not identify with the same sex or gender they were assigned.
Okay. For those people who don't know what gender is, I did another video on Soji, and I'll link it down in the description or up. It will pop somewhere here, there. I don't know. And maybe if you do not understand what is going on, you can just pause, go on the video, check it out, then come back and we shall continue. Otherwise, you can like the video and share right now so that your friends won't miss out and they'll learn something from it. And I have a few more questions about a trans person. Yeah, so maybe you can answer them for us.
Okay.
I think, and I apologize because some of these questions I have answers, but I feel like it's necessary for someone out there who doesn't know or who doesn't understand, or a person who wants to learn or unlearn. We are here to learn and learn some things.
Yes.
Yeah. Our first question is, how do you know? How does a person know that they are transgender?
So if I could borrow from my experience and a couple of other people's experiences, it's more like a long life journey. You just don't wake up one day and just realize. Most of the time, you just find that you just reflect back and things kind of fall into place. And then it's normally said that most trans people have an enduring sense of dysphoria about how other people perceive them. I guess mostly that's when it kind of clicks after you have a process of introspection and looking back at experiences you've had. Yeah.
So it's not like a one-time thing. You wake up to like tomorrow,
And then it's just
like I am this.
Mhm.
It's a journey.
It's a journey, yes.
And maybe you can tell us the difference between transgender and transsexual.
So, transgender is loosely used as an umbrella term to encompass people who question or people who so do not identify with the gender they were assigned at birth. A transsexual is someone who's taken active steps to address dysphoria or things they feel do not make them who they feel they are. So that means they take hormones, opt for surgeries and stuff like that. A transgender person is loosely used as an umbrella term. So we have some people who are non-binary identify as trans. Some people who are intersex identify as trans. So trans is kind of like a crossover, right? From one gender or assumed or assigned gender identity and sex to another one. Yes.
And what's the difference between a transgender and an intersex?
So
Please get confused a lot.
all
Yeah.
the time. Actually, we confuse them all the time. So intersex is, well, I'd say like a biological difference in whereby your sexual chromosomes, your behavior patterns, biologically speaking, are very ambiguous, right? They're neither completely what you'd call a typical male or a typical female. And a trans person, this is someone who was born with a typical biological structure. That means it's identical to that of a cisgender person, but their brain sex is very different. Yeah.
That's a whole lot of things to digest. I'm like,
I know, but you kind of just get to the over time.
yeah, guys, you have to go and read more about it, because at first it sounds like so much, but the minute you go deep and get to read about it, you get to understand.
True.
So my next question is, what this question is? Oh my God. I'm sorry. Okay. I am sorry. Shoot.
So, why don't transgender people get counseling to accept the gender they are assigned at birth?
No, that's a tricky word.
Yeah, that's why I apologize. And guys, I'm sorry to any trans persons out there that is watching this. If you feel like, but I feel like it's necessary so that we can get more people to understand and learn about it.
Yeah. Okay, so just to answer that question, so a lot of trans people, so like I said previously, it's a continuous and enduring sense of not belonging to how society perceives you and all these things, right? And before one assumes they're transgender or decides, okay, fine, this is who I am, it's not changing, they've had to go out through a very rigorous internal process of introspection. Where am I coming from? What am I doing? Is this something that's worth it? Because at the end of the day, no one would just wake up one day and decide, oh my God, I just want to be this person, and it wouldn't last for the rest of your life. You probably do it for a couple of months and you just be like, no.
Dump it out the door.
Yeah, and that mostly has been used, it's a form of violence towards trans people. When you force them to assume something they're not, or try to become something. What is the term they use?
And I'm guessing that would be bad for someone's mental health.
Yeah, a lot. It really would be, because it's like invalidating everything somebody's feeling and just deciding, okay. Yeah. There's what is it called? Conversion therapy. Mostly that's what it falls under. So, yeah, so people around, mostly parents, decide my child is 1, 2, 3, so let's
Yeah.
they don't the journey to self-acceptance is really big. So before parents kind of get the hang of, oh, this is like this, and it's not a sin, it's not bad, it's something someone can just live happy with. It's kind of a journey.
And I'm guessing that journey is not like only for trans people. Like whatever you're going through, I think it's a journey before you get to accept things and make decisions on what to do. So yeah.
Even parents, they actually go through the same journey as you. Once you come out, they also have to go through their own process of self-acceptance, dealing with the whole...
Digesting the whole thing.
Yeah. If you're lucky enough, your parents will stick around. If not, you're screwed. So funny how it happens. Like, actually, seriously, the rates of trans people who do not have a support system from the nuclear family they were born in, almost 90%. So you only find very few people have accepting parents, they're not kicked out. Yeah.
A big shout out and love to any person who's going through this. We love you, we care, and maybe if you want to reach out and talk, you can reach out. Do not silence yourself.
Yeah, true.
What medical treatments do some transgender people seek when transitioning?
Nice. So it's a process when you transition. A lot of trans people, first of all, we call them the three stages of transitioning. You have the coming out bit. Now that's when you're doing your social transition. The social transition, that means you tell people who your preferred pronouns are, what your preferred pronouns are, your preferred name, change your appearance to suit what your gender identity expression should look like. The second one is medical, so that means you take a medical approach in trying to transition, right, from one sex to another that is more comfortable with you. And the last one, which is the most hardest, is the legal bit. So that's where you change your names legally, official documents, and you tell the whole world, basically, that this is me now, and this is what I want to bring forward, moving forward, permanently.
Okay, so my next question is, how is the transitioning part in Kenya? Like, what's the process like?
So a little story I would share is, so when I came out to myself, a very long time ago.
A very long time ago, guys.
Seriously, age young. I didn't know any other trans people. I've never heard of any other. I had not heard of any other trans person, let alone in Kenya. So I knew who I was. That kind of really contributed to a lot of my mental health issues.
Were you like a teen or?
Yeah, I was a teenager at that point, and it took me 3 years before I understood what the term transgender means or is. And once I did, I was like, oh wow, clicks, finally. And then did a lot of research online and blah blah blah. And then I ended up finding the first trans person I ever met in Kenya. That was online, and that was Audrey. And then from there, we just kind of met, and I kind of met a whole other community of other trans people. So basically, in short, the transition process in Kenya is, we are lucky. It's not as hard as other countries. It's also very safe, not really very safe, but it's roughly safe if you compare the amount, the rate at which other people transition in other countries. And then Kenya is a bit, it's good, the environment is okay as compared to other countries, in short. And so other than the process of coming out and transitioning, I had mentioned the 3 of them. I guess there's nothing else to it, but the really hardest part is that will really frustrate you in Kenya is the legal bit of transitioning. Once you're like myself now, I can access a lot of things, even if I had not changed my name. There are things I could access easily if I present like this. But now the only challenge would be my documentation, it's my ID card, right? And then probably other things that involve government processes. Like I wouldn't travel. They'll be like, okay, who's this and who's this? Yeah, basically that's the challenge right now. And also healthcare. It's fucked up.
Getting healthcare.
Yeah, healthcare for trans people is really fucked up. And I wouldn't say just trans people, intersex people too. It's really hard. There's no access, people self-medicate a lot, which is very dangerous.
Yeah.
And organizations such as Jinsi Yangu are trying to change the narrative of basically just the landscape when it comes to healthcare. So better policies, better procedures in terms of addressing challenges related to healthcare that trans people face.
My next question is, what is gender dysphoria to you? To you personally speaking, as ever.
So to me, gender dysphoria is this unhappy feeling of how people perceive me, how I even look at myself, how I feel, how I talk, how I walk, just the uncomfortability of it all. It doesn't match what my brain is expecting automatically. That's gender dysphoria for me.
My next question, my next and I think my last question.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Eva wants to stay here a little bit longer.
It's fine.
Guys, what will you do if you want to see more of Eva? Maybe you can tell me down in the comments.
Do not
post your
shy.
questions.
I am a bad guest. I don't want. Okay.
This is a guest who wants to be here. Do you feel like, or how do you feel about trans equality? And do you think like it's important? I'm sorry I'm asking these questions, but somewhere outside there, someone is asking themselves, like, is this really important?
Before you can answer that, there will be like a whole cascade of other things that we have to talk about before we talk about trans equality. But
Feel free. You wanted to stay here a little bit longer. Now this is the time.
it's like an exam.
You can answer
Okay.
how you feel about it. It doesn't generally have to be like a whole other topic or politically.
Yeah.
So you can answer it as you as ever.
Okay.
Yeah.
I personally feel trans equality is very important. If we start looking systemically at the issues trans people face, trans equality will not even be questioned, and I guess just not trans equality, also be equality for a lot of other people who are marginalized in the society. Because if you look at the intersections between being trans, intersections also being human, and everything in between, there is no question that there's a lot of bad things happening systemically that need to be addressed and changed. Yeah. But it's very important. Also, this is me trying not to address my trauma or talk about like deep-seated issues, but anyway.
I think we can have another video in future for a deep-seated issue so that you can prepare mentally and also I and everyone I and everyone else can prepare mentally. Because I don't think it's a small issue to talk about everything. You make it bits by bits, progress. You cannot feed you everything today. Baby steps. And maybe if Eva wants to be found on social media or you want to throw your shot, I can see you. You're smiling. You're smiling at this beautiful soul here. And maybe if you want to throw your shot, or if Eva doesn't feel comfortable, around here we use consent. If you feel comfortable, guys, if you have money, shoot your shot. So maybe Eva can tell us where we can find her on social media.
On Instagram, A_Heather. Wait.
I will write it down.
Yes, it's better.
And maybe link it in the description.
Also my phone number if you're trans out there, when I shoot your shot, have money, just yes.
Okay, so I think that's it for me. If you have anything else you want to say.
I want to say thank you for having such an amazing platform, especially to be able to talk about queer issues for the community, is something that we don't often see. And this is awesome.
And a big thank you for accepting this. Not a lot of people will be up for this. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And subscribe, guys.
Please subscribe, share. Do not watch this alone. You should just pause, share. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.